In order to permit all weather operations, for example low visibility takeoffs and landings, procedures have been established to provide track guidance and terrain avoidance for departing aircraft. Where track guidance, terrain clearance and special equipment is used, vertical displacement guidance for aircraft arriving at aerodromes is also provided. Low visibility operations are defined by OCAO as takeoff and landing operations with an RVR of less than 800 metres. You must remember that the VMC minima for takeoff from an aerodrome in a CTR are a ground visibility not less than 5 kilometres and cloud ceiling not less than 1,500 feet. The criteria for the type of procedure to be employed are defined in terms of RVR and the limit to which the pilot is permitted to descend. Clearly, obstacle avoidance during any procedure is of paramount importance, and prior to the commencement of any instrument procedure, a clearance must be obtained from ATC. Procedures for arrival and departure are published, and you must have a printed copy of the procedure you are using on the flight deck. If you are required by ATC to divert to an aerodrome with which you are not familiar, and you are not in possession of the appropriate printed representations of the procedures, or plates, then ATC will read to you all aspects of the procedure. It is implied that any approach procedure that is developed will not require the clearance can be obtained both vertically and laterally, but by requiring a pilot to fly the track accurately, the aircraft can be guided over a surveyed flight path, within the bounds of which all obstacles can be determined and assessed. Obviously, the area surveyed must have finite limits. Surveying an area 5 miles wide and allowing a tolerance of 2.5 miles either side of centre-line track would not be acceptable. The extremities of the surveyed area must gradually permit higher obstacles until the limit of reasonable expectations of accuracy, the guaranteed clearance, is reduced to 0. This assessment is known as the creation of the Minimum Obstacle Clearance Area, MOC. Obstacle clearance could thus be provided by assessing the highest obstacle to be flown over, and by then applying a safety margin to that figure, an obstacle clearance height or altitude, OCH or A, could be obtained. This is the method of obtaining minimum safety altitude, MSA, and with refinements, minimum descent height or altitude for non-precision approach procedures. For precision approach systems, therefore, OCH or A is a range from threshold dependent calculation, and so it should be obvious that OCH or A for precision procedures is less than that for non-precision procedures. From an operational point of view, the obstacle clearance applied in the development of each instrument approach or departure procedure is considered to be the minimum required for an acceptable level of safety in operations. Operators usually apply higher criteria than this, thus resulting in aerodrome operating minima for commercial air transport operations. The document that specifies the recommendations for instrument procedures is the ICAO document 8168, Procedures for Air Navigation Services, Air Operations, and it comes in 2 volumes. Volume 1 is Flight Procedures, and Volume 2 is Construction of Visual and Instrument Flight Procedures. Volume 2 is intended for use by guidance specialists and describes the essential areas and obstacle clearance requirements for the achievement of safe and regular instrument flight operations. It considers both departure and arrival procedures, and to a lesser extent, en route procedures that require obstacle clearance measures to be taken account of.